Let's go.
Let's go. All right.
LFG. Hey.
Welcome everybody.
It's Hong Kong.
It's Hong Kong and it's not a low budget stream anymore.
No, look, we are in a hotel room on the
16th.
On the 16th floor.
Do not come to our room.
No.
We have people in the hotel that actually go into the conference with us. So if you're watching, guys, don't come.
And furthermore, there are some things, because we're in Hong Kong, that we're not going to talk about.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot that we're not going to talk bad about people. We're not going to talk good about people, right?
Not going to talk about people.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, the thing with the Germans is that you either have to talk bad about all of them or talk good about all of them, and that just don't work. So.
Yeah. So we have some greetings from Roland. He's from Japan.
Hey, Roland.
My good friend. He's a ratatouille grinder. What did you say?
I said konnichiwa.
Yeah, konnichiwa. We have Denjell from Germany. Hello, guys.
Guten Abend. Guten Tag.
Eating sushi, yeah. Germany here, yeah. Okay, so yeah, you were from Germany, if I remember correctly. So
coffee?
It's coffee, guys. It's not beer. Come on, right? But I'm not sure actually. I didn't check the ingredients. It says coffee on the thing.
It's all in
0.3 grams of protein. It's legit.
The ingredients are water and coffee.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure.
That's nice.
This is definitely coffee.
So what do we have here? We've got some sushi on the table.
Yeah, we have coffee, sushi, and friendly conversations.
Yeah,
that's all.
That's all.
We have greetings from Peru. Yeah. We have Inek joining. Hey man, how's it going? Ratatouille and Tauri, goat grinders. Okay, so little introduction about you, I guess.
Sure.
So guys, he's the mastermind behind a framework called Tauri. Your name, sir, please.
My name is Denjell, but I got a cool nickname back in Germany when I was at a meeting with some friends. And because I grew up in the States, my name is pronounced by my mother as Daniel. Mm-hmm. Right? And there's another guy in the meeting, his name was Daniel Fischer. Okay. And the girl who was writing the notes for the meeting, she didn't know our surnames, but she knew he was Daniel and I was Daniel. And so she did what any self-respecting smart woman would do, is she used the phonetic language of the local region to spell out my name so that people would understand that it's not Daniel, it's Denjell. And that's how I got the Denjell.
Yeah, I was very confused about your name in the beginning. Yeah. Denjell.
Denjell. I mean, in Thüringen, I think you would probably say Denjell, which is close.
Yeah. And yeah, how do I pronounce the rest of your name?
So Daniel Thompson, and then I married a French woman, so it's Yvetot, Thompson Yvetot.
Yvetot?
Yvetot comes from Ivan Ivanovich, who was, according to French history, a Viking marauder who created 2 cities in northern France. That's where that comes from.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So you're behind Tauri, as I said, co-founded it with Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas and I, we started it because we were really frustrated with the status quo of repeating yourself, right? So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, there's a lot of different frameworks to make software, and we were really interested in making the best software you could.
Yeah.
And maybe we can come back to what best means in a little bit. But at the time, 6 years ago, we were really sure that Electron wasn't the best you could do, because Electron packages an entire browser, it packages an entire JavaScript runtime, and the files, a final piece of software is what? It's 200 megabytes, 300 megabytes, 400, 500 megabytes, and then every time you download it, it's another 500 megabytes. And I mean, as far as you're concerned, who cares, right? Like, it's just your computer. You know, you don't travel. You've never downloaded LinkedIn on your phone when you're in Zurich, or have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Zurich is not the European Union. Hi, Zurich, we love you. Austria is not the same as Switzerland, is not the same as Germany, is not the same as France. But it's definitely not really Europe, so they can charge whatever they want for traffic. And then, you know, to download your 200 megabytes, what does it cost? 10 cents a megabyte?
Yeah.
So you just pay 20 euro? What, 20 franc? So, wait, Swiss?
I don't know much about their currency.
But why? Like, that just doesn't make sense. You know, like, why are we continuously downloading the same stuff over and over and over again, right? And then, you know, so we decided, okay, what happens if you cut out the big browser, you cut out the runtime, and then you package a piece of software that just is able to do the things that you want it to do, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, nowadays, when people use Tauri, instead of making apps that are 200, 300 megabytes, they're like 5. You don't even have to try hard to make it 5 megabytes.
Yeah.
You know, and like, the side effect of it being small is that it's also more secure, which is kind of the real reason why we did it in the first place, right? Like, building a framework is one thing, but teaching people what it means to build secure software, that's why we started it, you know. And the news I got today, is it too soon? Is it too soon to drop the news, or should I share the news?
Maybe wait for more people to tune in, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I can wait.
We're just like warming up, guys.
Sure.
So
I mean, as far as
some news,
as far as Tauri goes, like, we support all the major desktops, so Mac, Windows, Linux, and Arch.
All the distros and Arch.
And Arch,
By the way. So,
as well as mobile, but not all the distros yet. Hello, Huawei, if you're listening. I'm still waiting on my Harmony OS phone, but we do support iOS and Android. And the neat part about Tauri is, I think, the fact that, you know, because we've taken security so seriously, every time we release a new minor version or a major version, we get it audited. So, like, we audit for security the minor versions internally. It's like our security team that does it.
Yeah.
But when we're ready to promote something to a major version, then we get an external security team to do it, and we get that financed. Well, up till now, we've had it financed by the European Commission's fund, Next Generation Internet, as dispensed by the NLnet, who then gives the money to Radically Open Security, and Radically Open Security comes and then just, like, audits the code horizontally and vertically. By that I mean looks at all the libraries, and then it looks at the functionality within each library. So it's usually like a 3 to 6 month process, just the audit, because, like, I mean, if I tell you you've got a great bracelet, right, you're gonna be happy with me. But if I say you're missing a bracelet, you're like, what do you mean I'm missing a bracelet? You're not going to let that hang. You're going to be like, okay, I have to go get myself a new bracelet.
Yeah.
Right? So when a security auditor tells you you made a mistake here, you can't be like, oh yeah, I guess you made a mistake. No, you have to fix it. You have to. It's like the honor of building secure software, right? So yeah, so I guess the future of Tauri is that we're excited about bringing in other opportunities for people to kind of mix and match what they want the user to use. You know, like, you can have it all Rust if you're building for Wasm. You can put Wasm in the browser.
Yeah.
You can use Ceph. Like, there are people who are really worried about WebRTC being compatible across browsers, well, across web views. You know.
Yeah. They call you the electron killer.
Well, I've heard that before. You know, like I kind of stopped using Twitter. I kind of stopped using Twitter back when I got in a fight with
Elon Musk.
No, actually, it wasn't Elon Musk. It was Marshall of Sound. So Marshall, if you're out there, what's up? If you don't know, Marshall of Sound is the username of a person on GitHub who has been or was for a long time maintaining Electron. Mm-hmm. And I kind of got baited by somebody who was pretending to be from the community, like from the broader community, but was actually like a secret agent from Microsoft. Like seriously, like you can look it up. Twitter didn't disappear. You can just go back in history. It was a crazy time, but I was like, I let myself get caught up in the situation, and then was challenged, or I challenged. We challenged each other to, as fast as possible, make an app that was good.
Wait, so when was this? Is this before Tauri or?
No, this was Tauri. This was Tauri around Tauri 1.0. So 3 years ago-ish. Mm-hmm. And yeah, then I showed that our version of app framework was more secure.
Okay.
But it felt weird to be like in this battle of like, Tauri is the upstart and we're better than everybody. We weren't better than everybody else. We're just different. Like some things are the same, some things are different. Our binaries are small and the code base is pretty secure, right?
Yeah.
Like, but it's not like we killed Electron. A lot of people are still using Electron. Some people even try Tauri and switch back to Electron because they feel like learning Rust is too hard.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I understand that the LLMs haven't gotten to that point yet where they're really perfect at supporting Rust. Hey, maybe in 5 or 6 years, it'll get there. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we killed Electron. However, we are going to outlast Ionic and Capacitor. Like if you remember, there used to be a thing called PhoneGap. That was a way to make apps for iOS and Android a long time ago. Then came Cordova, which was like the advanced PhoneGap with a little bit of JavaScript. Then came Capacitor, and then with Capacitor, I guess there was a company called Ionic, and we've heard that they're shutting down in 2 years.
So you killed them?
No. Nobody's killing anybody. Like, I think, like, just to be clear, we love everybody. We've learned a lot from Ionic. We've learned a lot from Electron. We've learned a lot from Bill Gates. We've learned a lot from...
He's too political, guys. We cannot bait him to create some drama.
I mean, no. I mean, I have drama, but you told me to wait for the news. So.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so Roland asks about learning Rust tips. Do you have like a ultimate tip?
There's this tool called rustlings.
Okay.
You've done it?
Yeah.
Wait, all the way to the end?
No.
Right. That's the thing. Almost nobody does rustlings all the way to the end because you get to like exercise 20 or 22 and you're just like, oh geez, now you have to look in the manual. I'm here to tell you that like as soon as you get Rust compiling, it's a great start. And Tauri actually helps a lot. Like you have to have the Rust compiler installed on your device, and then you can use software frameworks like Vue and React and like front-end frameworks that you already know. If you don't know anything, like if you're an absolute beginner, you never picked up a programming language before, I think Rust is probably the best language you can learn right now. Like, it's weird, and maybe this is the hot take. Everybody who's not a Rust engineer, who's like, oh, Rust is so hard, right? Rust is hard. Oh my God. Oh, what do I do? Oh, right? They're complaining. But that's because they come from a different universe, right? Like last year I taught my stepdaughter how to program Rust. Now she has an internship. She never learned anything in programming before. She comes from a degree in biology or medicine or something, right? Like, it's not hard to learn Rust. You just have to do it every day. Like, you have to grind.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Also, Roland, the same guy who asked the question, he says Rust is his first language. So, I mean, it's doable. It's just like so much bias around Rust being difficult, I guess. So you gotta just like not get caught up into that, and
I think young engineers are putting too much into what people like Primogen say.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's just too influential. So
yeah, he's influential, and like people are looking for role models, and people who have a hot take are going to like influence people. Of course, right now he's saying don't become a vibe coder, right? Like his big worry is that everybody's going to start vibing and no one's going to code anymore. And I mean,
I don't know what that is, to be honest. I saw so many like memes about vibe coding and stuff, and people just suddenly talk about them. Even in workshop, do you remember that guy? Like there was one guy who was just like writing code, and I checked his code and it was incorrect, but like he was like doing things, like he was just making up functions and stuff. I'm like, did you use a LLM? And he told me he was just like vibe coding. Is that what it is? I don't know what it is. Like, do you know like the explanation?
I mean, I think it comes from this this new job role called prompt engineering.
Okay.
Prompt engineering, right? Where you know enough about a thing to tell an LLM what you want, right? It's like having an assistant.
Okay.
Right. So I'll give you an example. You get the job to build a house. Mm-hmm. You've never built a house before, but it doesn't matter. You've got Google, and then you Google how to build a house, and you watch some YouTube videos, and then there's some people that build a house with wood, and other ones build it with stone.
Okay.
And some with metal and concrete, and everybody's doing it differently, and the majority of them are probably doing it wrong, but you don't know any better, right? And for a drawing of a house, maybe it's okay. Like for a house that people are going to live in for decades, maybe it's not okay, right?
Yeah, I see.
Like, so there's this really famous architect, Le Corbusier, and he was sort of involved in this new movement of architecture at the beginning of the 20th century, where buildings had like flat roofs, right?
Yeah.
Because like a cube is very like simple. You know what the problem was? The people who lived in that house, because nobody built a cubed house before. All the houses everywhere in the world were either like pitched, so they had like a peak, or they were like slanted, but his was flat. And so what happened is the water collected.
Yeah.
And then there was mold inside the house and people got sick. And then they moved out, right? And I think that that's the kind of thing that we're seeing over and over again with vibe coders is, well, Claude, who's getting better, by the way, but Claude, Claude, it knows how to write React code.
Yeah.
Right? Not sure.
Today, so we were at an art like gallery. We just went into a random thing and just like turned out to be art gallery, and there was a painting which was looking very like random, and it was like three-dimensional. So the paint was actually quite thick. So it was just like going out of the frame a bit, and then like there was another color which was on top of it and stuff like that. So it was like a vibe painting, because the artist turned out to be using his like foot and like some other like spatula and stuff like that. It's just like all over the place, and it's just like a lot of paint. And I guess that's like a bit close to vibe coding as well, because he doesn't care about like, I guess, the the result being okay or not. He's just like doing it and just accepting any code suggestion or something like it. Of course, this is art. Like you cannot really compare the results, but I find that very similar to what I have seen today. Just wanted to tell.
You know,
and also you're an artist, so you probably know what that technique is called, or it's if it's a technique or not. But I find that very similar.
did you know that a human can go into any museum in the world with a blank canvas and a palette full of paint and some paintbrushes and make an almost exact copy of any painting?
Yeah.
Go to the Louvre, go to the MoMA, doesn't matter, go anywhere, and you can make an almost exact copy. You know what you can't copy? They got thrown out?
What?
The signature. The signature of Picasso, of Dali, of whoever. You can't, of Rembrandt. You cannot copy the signature. Right? But you can copy the way the thing looks, the technique that was used. You learn that way. And I feel like the LLMs that have been developed have kind of gotten a bad rap, because scientists are like, hey, artist, I asked you how many fingers I'm showing you, and you said 4. But I have 5 fingers. Or like, on one hand you see 6 fingers, right? And I feel like the recombinatorial approach that a large language model has at its disposal is more like creativity than it is invention. And by invention, I mean like following the scientific method of, we're gonna build a fusion reactor, right? We're gonna write a thesis about human behavior, right? Like that hard science stuff. And that's why all the scientists are like, oh, robot, you're hallucinating. How bullshit, man. It's not hallucinating, it's being creative. Of course, copyright law gets in the way and says, oh, only humans can be creative because we've been kissed by God or whatever. And I'm not going to get into this whole thing about like monkeys or elephants painting pictures and having aesthetic experiences, because all of that is framed from the human perspective. But if we just like took a giant step back and we're like, okay, when something is created and we can have enjoyment from it, then it's a thing. I mean, it sounds kind of simplistic.
Then that thing is creative at this point?
Something has just been created.
Yeah.
If it's good or bad, I don't know. It's like, who am I to judge for you? I mean, I have my experience. I can tell you I like the color green. If it's not green, I don't like it. Okay.
Well, the art is subjective, but I'm trying to understand your point about LLMs creating something.
I'm saying that they're being creative.
Yeah.
They're not being scientific.
Okay.
Right?
So going back to your example about copying the signature, where is the signature in LLM creating something?
Today, I believe there's a movement that says if you use an LLM or an AI to create content, you should mention that it was created by or with one of these AI tools. Right? Like, I don't know if it's a law. Maybe it will be someday.
This is the first time I'm hearing something like this.
No, there's definitely this position where, you know, if you write a book, put your name on it.
Yeah.
If you write a blog post, you know, you just by me or whatever. And if you use an LLM, was it Gemini? Was it Claude?
Oh, okay, I see.
Right?
Yeah.
Because those, they might not be like personalities, but they've been definitely trained. They've been to different museums and looked at different paintings. Right?
Yeah, I see. OpenAI generated images have an embedded watermark with metadata about the creation model, time, and image revision. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. What does that mean?
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That means that this goes back to rich people who have babies, and they put the baby in the bathtub, and then when the bath is dirty, the bathwater is dirty, you throw out the water. Because you're going to have another bath, you're going to put more water in there. And to throw the baby out with the bathwater means you're throwing the good, the baby, out with the bad, the dirty water. Right? But it's only something that a rich person would ever say. So, commentator, I totally disagree.
I can draw turtles and smiley faces. I guess that's enough.
Yeah.
I like that. Vibe coding, sure. Okay, vibe coding. What happened about not talking about people? I think that was a comment about the previous subject.
Oh, not talking about people. I mean,
we just.
Yeah, they're just not here.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Rust is the best language right next to JavaScript. I don't know. Have you ever looked into Holy See?
Yeah.
Guys.
Why?
I needed to ask this question. What do you think about TempleOS and Holy See?
I think.
And don't say something bad, okay?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to say anything bad about people who are that creative. Like TempleOS was built by a person on a mission to do it themselves, and I totally identify with that. Like this notion of, I don't want to trust anybody else. I'm going to plant my own grain, and I'm going to harvest it myself, and I'm going to grind it down to flour, and I'm going to make my own sourdough, and I'm going to put it in an oven. Oh, by the way, to turn the oven on, I have to use wood, so go back a little bit. I'm going to plant my own trees and cut them down and dry it out.
Such a grind.
The whole thing. And I think that the place that comes from, it's easy to say that the creator of TempleOS didn't trust people, but I think it's the opposite. I think they trusted.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Send us a message if we're back online.
Yeah, please.
I'm gonna eat some sushi here.
Yeah, go ahead, please. So what happened was they just restarted the router or something, and I needed to go to a page and accept the terms, which definitely did not say anything about streaming. I hope.
Oh.
All right, you're down to 4 people watching. All good now. We're back. Yeah.
We're back.
What is your take on Canonical powering up Ubuntu with Rust? Did you see the news?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
The utils thing, which I maintain in Arch, by the way. That's good.
Actually, you should put that on a t-shirt. I maintain an Arch, by the way.
Yeah.
What do I think about Shuttleworth jumping on the Rust bandwagon? About time, bitch. What took you so long?
Yeah.
Wait, we have to wait till Microsoft says it's okay? Or the United States government says it's okay? Or Google says it's okay? I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to name names. I think corporations aren't people, right?
Yeah.
Corporations aren't people.
Right.
Mostly. I think that it's a sign of global instability, honestly. I think as the world starts to fall apart, our generation starts to take power, and we recognize the danger that bad software has. So,
yeah,
that's what I think. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, it was about time. You're right. I think they're late. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with utils getting the recognition they need, because I've been just maintaining that for I think 2 years now.
Okay.
Maybe 2 years maybe, I don't know. And I've been with each release, I've been taking a look at their benchmarks and what they're building. I actually contributed a bunch of times, like a couple of times maybe. And yeah, it's a great project. And why are we still using like the legacy core utils and like we have better alternatives? I'm not just talking about UU utils here, but like, you know, we have a bunch of good stuff. I built a couple of like Linux utilities in Rust. I know that they are better, not because I did them, but because they are in Rust and benchmarks are there. And I mean, everyone just loves memory safety. There's one argument though about the exact topic. So I read a blog post about it, and I don't remember who said that or which blog post was it, but they say, like, you know, memory safety is good, but do we actually need memory safety in tools like LS and stuff like that? I mean, does it really...
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, right? Because it's not like, you're not going to get a vulnerability in that will lead to something...
I don't know, did you ever pipe anything into LS? Or pipe anything out of LS?
Yeah, but, you know, something small. Just think about sleep command.
Sure. I mean, sorry to come back to the Tauri perspective for a second. Tauri does allow you to drop into a shell and execute things like JQ, LS, curl, right? However, we recognized very early the moment you're able to add any kind of pipe or dash sometimes to a command, you get command execution.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that maybe that doesn't have much to do with memory safety per se, but as soon as you get any kind of command execution, getting your own jump to memory, that's the king's game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's not important. It's not unimportant or anything. I'm basically saying that there's one argument out there which says, like, maybe we don't like need all of these. Like, it's good, but at the same time, it's not like useful in like every case, which you might agree or not. But yeah, I read about that. But on the other hand, like, Rust has many other advantages. So at the end, we're winning, guys. I think.
I saw a YouTube short today from a neurosurgeon, and he said bicyclists, people that ride bikes of any kind, but he meant, like, you know, the electric bikes or the pedal bikes, dirt bikes, who don't wear helmets. You know what they're called? Practice. Because your brain gets damaged, even if you're going slow. Your brain is damaged, there's no way to fix it. It will not get fixed.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, like, if we talk about motor vehicle injuries of all kinds, the people that build cars, maybe they started building bicycles. And maybe one of their friends said, oh, LS, who cares? Write it in Python or, you know, C++. There's got to be a framework that you can use, instead of like being militant about the security of the thing that you're building, right? Like, oh, it's not so important here. But I think the risk in that whole discussion, that whole perspective, is you're only ever doing one thing once. There's a lot of situations where you're going to be doing that thing and a bunch of other things. I mean, like, that's the whole beautiful part about Shell. You know, you can you chain things together. So I don't buy the argument at all.
Yeah. Okay. The argument of if it ain't broke, don't fix it has some merit, but not enough to stop trying to improve them anyway. If there are memory safety issue, that means you can compromise memory of your disk. It could be used to inject something in the rest of the computer.
Sure.
There's this slight difference between stability by trait and maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, I would come back to this point of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ever run a fuzzer on a C library before? Like, fuzzing has shown consistently that even the most adept humans who are writing C, okay, not assembly, like assembly writers are gods, but C and C++, people make mistakes. And LLMs aren't even going to be able to fix that. Right? Like, when the way you write code is intrinsically broken, don't talk to me about, oh, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because it is, and we know it is, and it constantly appears. Like what? Microsoft, Google have both said 80% of all memory vulnerabilities come from C and C++. Right?
Yeah. Not wholly C.
No.
Guys, if you have any questions for us, just go ahead. I'm gonna just catch up with the chat. LLM just help you with easy stuff. Recently I was fixing TTY descriptors with Ratatouille Termion. I asked LLM just for fun, it gives zero useful stuff. It's something really hard. It needs to have competence. Do you use LLM while coding or anything, or have you like tried it?
I did. I
Cursor,
had a subscription to ChatGPT for a long time. I canceled it. The reason I started using it more and more was because of the Cyber Resilience Act, right? So the CRA, the Cyber Resilience Act, is this massive piece of new European legislation that basically says if you make software, you're going to have to be compliant. And I wanted to know what this thing was about. And I was like, oh God, I can't be bothered to read 70 pages.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, just summarize it for me. And I thought it did a good job.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then I made one of those custom GPTs and I started sharing the link with people. It was like, yeah, I got it figured out, you know? And I was feeling really proud of myself. And then one day somebody asked me a question about like, the number of important and critical types of products with digital elements that have a special notice in the regulation. I could have looked it up, but I just asked the ChatGPT. It was like, there are 72 important categories and 16 critical ones. And I was like, wait a second, no. I know there's only like 3 or 4 critical ones. What do you mean there's 16? Oh yes, I'm sorry, you're right, there's 4. And I kept on like getting into the situation where it was inventing something and I couldn't use it as a reference tool. And ultimately that's why I ended up writing a book about the CRA, because there was no resource out there that could help me understand it, whether it was Google or some FAQ or anything. So, yeah.
Right.
When is the last time I used it for code? So, I actually had it help me write Claude. In that case, I actually used Claude to help me write a prototype software bill of materials generator for Rust and JavaScript. And the problem with JavaScript was like NPM, Yarn, and PNPM, they all use slightly different lock file types. And okay, you can argue with me that the lock file is not what you should use to generate your software bill of materials. I don't care. The point was that it helped me solve the tricky part about parsing PNPM lock files. And I agree with the commentator. It's like, there are some cases where it's helpful. Did that code ever make it anywhere into production? No. It was really just a POC to help me figure out if this is something that's applicable, right? What about you? You ever used LLMs?
Using Copilot.
So Copilot in VS Code?
Neovim.
In Neovim, okay.
And I just like ask stupid questions to ChatGPT all the time.
Like what?
Like, I don't know. Let me try to remember. I can check actually, but like I don't know, like something like what's the like I don't know, something about sushi, or like
Okay.
how do I say this thing in this language or something like that, or like I don't know, stupid things that are very embarrassing. I don't want.
But they're cultural things. They're creative things, right?
Yeah, I mean things that you would ask to Google in an incognito mode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know what I mean, like.
Right.
Yeah. There's one question about Tauri. He says possibly ignorant, stupid question. What makes Tauri different to Electron except for better Rust interop? I don't think it's a stupid question.
I mean, there's a few things. One of them is that the permission model of Tauri 2.0, at least, I don't know about 1.0 as much. Like, it's not the same 1.0, but with modern Tauri, the approach by which you give the system capabilities is opt-in. You have to define what it is you want the application to be able to do, and in many cases, you add a plugin that brings along that functionality. So where in JavaScript you have something called tree shaking, where you only import the functions from a library that you actually use. With Tauri, you explicitly import the functionality you need. And I think the main difference there, the architectural difference, is that, you know, choosing to bring a couple surgical instruments to the emergency room, as opposed to bringing all of the surgical instruments that exist, right? Because Electron leverages Node.js, and Node.js is an entire runtime. It has everything in there, like from a kind of way to reach out to the internet to parsing JSON, right? Like all of the built-in functionalities of Node are things that you're importing the whole thing. So you have an entire runtime embedded in there. Whereas with Tauri, the Rust side only introduces the functionality that you want. I think that's a big difference between the two of them. I think that Electron is caught up to Tauri now, but for a long time, Tauri was the only framework for desktop that actually also brought along an updater that signed the update binaries the same as the original binary. So basically you have a Tauri private key that you keep secret, and you use that to sign the update, and then the application in the field will say, hey, I checked the update server and there's a new version, I'm gonna download that version and check the signature, and if that signature matches the key that I know about, then it's cool and I can install, because we've just verified provenance. So I think that that's another place where you know, we learned from Electron, as a matter of fact, that you cannot trust the system to do things properly. It was actually an exploitable vulnerability in Windows that was found by, I think it was the Doyensec research team, and we're like, oh yeah, we don't want that, so we just fixed it. And I think the other big thing that is very different between the two of Tauri and Electron is that in Electron, you're always talking about this thing called isomorphism. You know what that is, right? It's like JavaScript everywhere. And it's great because your front-end dev can speak the same language as your back-end dev. Like, everyone loves React and GraphQL and Node.js Server because the whole team is speaking JavaScript. In an Electron app, the danger is that you can actually pass a function in JavaScript from an attacked front end, like, you know, the front end is compromised through some library, and that library can send a function to the back end because it's all JavaScript, right?
Yeah.
And okay, I'm simplifying things, and there are ways to address this in modern Electron. But Tauri has this from the beginning. The architectural notion is that you're passing messages. You're passing instructions along. You're not passing along a payload that can be executed.
You're not calling functions.
I mean, in a sense, you are calling a function, but you can't create a new function, right?
You're not invoking any code that is in the front end, basically.
Correct. And, obviously, if you think about it, there's a lot of ways for a front end to become compromised. So we built an additional feature into Tauri that allows, when the app starts, the back end or the core creates a secret that is then only known by a very specific, untouchable iframe. And then the front end has to send all messages through that iframe, because that iframe is the only one that knows the secret, and other illicit functions cannot be called because they cannot go through that that route.
Is that the default behavior, or?
No, it's not. It's it's an advanced behavior, and you not only have to opt into it, you have to do a little bit of homework, right?
Okay. What is it called?
So we have an isolation feature.
Okay.
Is what it's called. So if you just go to the Tauri docs, you look up isolation feature, it will explain to you how it works. And actually, it's one of those cases where we provide an example in vanilla JavaScript with no libraries, because it's very clear what it's doing. And I think that that's kind of another difference between Electron and Tauri, is that we try to make it, once you understand how everything works, we try to make it very clear about what's going on where and how. Another difference between Electron and Tauri, and this is maybe more for the Electron side, is that since Electron uses the same patched version of Chromium across Windows, Electron, or Windows, Mac, and Linux, there's a consistent look and feel and behavior and dev tooling across those three platforms. Tauri has, for the longest time, up till now, used the system web view, which today on Windows is WebView 2, which is a derivative of Edge, but it's managed by the operating system. It's similar for Mac. It's a derivative of Safari. The derivative is WK WebKit. And then on Linux, to date, we've been using the semi-crappy WebKit GTK. I just say crappy because it doesn't meet the expectations of modern developers.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, it's good enough, but for some people, it's not. And so in order to address that, for Tauri 3.0 that we're working towards, we're going to be bringing along 2 additional web views. One of them is going to be the Chromium Embedded Framework, Ceph. So we're coming closer to Electron, but there are use cases out there where you absolutely need the exact same WebRTC stack. You need the same stack. Otherwise, people cannot communicate between devices. And at that point, I ask myself, is it a browser or is it a meta operating system, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole different discussion. I don't like it. I don't like the way in which Chrome has just decided it's the new standard because of market capture. And that's why the other version of WebView that you're going to be able to use for 3.0 is based on Servo, which kind of brings us back full circle. Servo, if you don't know, is a resurrected Mozilla research project that was started in order to look into ways that Rust could be used to create a browsing experience. And Servo itself was never really intended to become a browser. However, a lot of the crates within it are in use in modern Firefox. And a couple years ago, the Tauri working group and the company I created worked on proving that we could actually use Servo as a web view. And we got a little bit of funding from NLNet again, and we've been collaborating with some of the original OGs from Servo, and also, thanks to a lot of the guidance that we got from FutureWay and their funding and their support, as well as Agalia's, it's coming to look like Servo might become an actual browser that's actually going to be useful in the near future. Could it come faster? Yeah, if we had a couple billion monetary units, whether that's Hong Kong dollars or euros, a couple billion would have been helpful. But we're working on it, and like I said, with Tauri 3.0, you'll have these three options. You can go very light and leverage the system web view. You can ship a Chromium embedded framework, or you can use what we're calling Verso View.
Yeah. I have some questions, and people have.
I'm sure. You asked what the differences are between Servo and Tauri Electron, so I just kind of went.
Yeah, no worries. We have a bunch of questions, but I think right now is a good time for you to give us some big news.
Oh, there is a bit of big news.
So guys, I have never heard of this before. It's the first time hearing, and also first time sharing this.
Yeah. No, I haven't talked about it publicly because we just verified it today. If you have been following Tauri, you do know for sure there's a repo called Awesome Tauri, and I encourage you, if you've made anything with Tauri, or for Tauri, or about Tauri, to go there and post it. We noticed that the other day somebody posted that the new app from Tencent is using Tauri, and it happens to be the app that uses DeepSeek, that leverages DeepSeek, the one that's been downloaded millions of times. We reversed the Windows binary today and proved that Tencent is using Tauri, and that means I get to add Tencent to a long list of amazing companies that are also using Tauri. However, most of them are using them internally. So Microsoft is using Tauri internally, Intel is using it internally, Dyson is using it internally, Cloudflare is using it internally, but this is the biggest external use of Tauri that I know of right now, and it's also really exciting because we're in Hong Kong, which is like just across the hill over that way is Shenzhen, and we met some amazing Chinese engineers who came to the conference that we were at. Yeah. And I don't know, it's really exciting to see that, they're using some plugins. They're using a very specific version of Tauri. Now, I think that the engineers that designed the app, they know exactly what they're doing. Like just with the superficial reversing that we did today, it became clear that, anybody who's using anything other than commit hashes for idempotent versions is making a mistake. Like the folks over at Tencent proved it. Like what I've been talking about for years. Hi guys, been saying this to all of y'all forever. Don't use caret 2.1. Don't use tilde. Don't even use 2.7.9. Use the exact commit hash. I don't care if it's uncomfortable. I don't care if you know what it means. It gives you verifiable proof that you're using the exact code that you think you're using, right? Yeah. And if you're a pro, that's what you do, right? Semi-pro is gonna pin the versions, but that means who are you trusting? If it's the JavaScript ecosystem, who are you trusting? NPM. Maybe you're running your own Verdaccio, but honestly, nobody does that.
There was a vulnerability in GitHub one of the GitHub actions that was widely used. Have you seen that?
Yep.
The tags were just overwritten,
Yep.
and if you're using like the exact same version, which
Right,
you
were. You never know.
and you got like,
I mean,
yeah.
GitHub Actions are the same as any other kind of dependencies, where you just say like v2. What does that mean?
yeah,
It doesn't mean anything except what you want it to mean,
yeah.
right?
It's convenient that way, and people are used to it. And I maintain one action for Gitclip, and it's like I create a version, let's say version 3.0.0, right?
Sure.
I then push another tag, just v3, because people are using v3. But next time I push a new release, since they are using v3, that action is not being updated with Dependabot, so they don't know what has changed,
Right.
but they just keep using it.
I honestly, like, this is another hot take. Hey, Theo, if you're listening, why don't you pick this one up? Semantic versioning is crap. Okay, let's talk about Rust. You've got a cool idea for a project. What version are you going to start that at? 0.0,
0.1.0, yeah.
You're going to do a little bit of work. Maybe you do a 0.1.1, a 1.2, a 1.3. And then, you know, time goes by, half a year, and you're at a 0.9, 0.5. People are using it in production. People are loving it. And then you've got a major change. Like something very serious. You're changing the API.
1.0.
But you're not ready for 1.0. Like, you're not ready to release it. It's just like the API changed, and there's going to be more changes.
So you're just gonna keep it 0.10, whatever, yeah.
0.10, right? So anything below 1.0, semantic versioning is broken in Rust. It just doesn't make sense. And like, what I think kind of works is this major minor patch dash date, so that when you see the version tag, you're like, oh, that's at least from this week. Because if you look at 2.7.9, you don't know if that's 1970
Well,
or what.
yeah. What do you think about, like, I don't know what it is called, but dateware, or it's something like just using the date as version? What do you think about that? There are a bunch of projects doing that.
Like, I think the problem with that is it requires you to do one of two things as a maintainer. Either you have a guarantee that the API will only change forward, which means never any breaking changes. It means never any breaking changes, right? That could kind of make sense. Nobody does that. Everybody throws in breaking changes because somebody complained on the internet. Seriously, stop it. Like, just make a new API.
Yeah.
But that's not going to work. So, like, how do I know what features are available just by looking at the date version? I have to match it to something else.
Helix is doing that.
Are they?
Yeah. It's kind of annoying.
I mean,
and some projects, they just switch to date-based versioning out of the blue, which happened with one of the packages that I maintain. They just like decided to, I think it was Yazi File Explorer. They were like, okay guys, we're just doing 2025, 10, like, I don't know, like
year, month, day.
Something like that.
Okay, that's great unless you're in a super high volume release community. Like, I know companies that will put out 10 releases a day.
Yeah.
10 a day. So the day doesn't mean anything. And at some point, like, I guess you're aligning it to UTC? Mm-hmm. Or what? Like, just put the epoch on there at that point, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that the reason we have versions is to communicate something from upstream to downstream, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a maintainer. I want to tell the consumer what they're consuming, right? And, you know, as soon as you get into something like a software bill of materials, that's also going to need to know what version was consumed. I don't think the SBOM is going to care if it's a date or a semantic version or a combination of the two, but and maybe that's the problem with the commit hash. Maybe the commit hash is even more, like, it has less semantic information than either the date or the version, right?
Yeah. Right. We're gonna reach this perfect version at some point, but right now,
Perfect versioning?
yeah, I don't know what it is these days. Probably not summer.
No, I don't think Sunburst is going to stick around forever.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so Tauri, the way we do it is the versioning for Tauri is, let's say right now we're at something above 2. Tauri isn't just the Tauri repo. It also isn't just the Tauri crate. There's a lot of different dependencies like Tauri sys, the Tauri build, yada, 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 right? And we don't keep them in lockstep. We only update when we have to.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of discussions about that. Like, once you're running a big project that's more than one crate or more than one library, you also have to think about, okay, how do we communicate that amongst ourselves? And so one big discussion that we had was, okay, when Tauri hits 2.0 stable, everything gets promoted above 2.0, no matter where it's at. Some things we probably should have left in 2.0.0-RC a little bit longer, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, we don't have the resources that a Microsoft, a Google, a Tencent, or a Cloudflare have. You know, it's like 10 people doing their best, taking donations over at Open Collective /Tauri.
Guys, you know where to go. And I wish we had some moderators, they would send some links. But I have actually one opinion about having a different version for each crate in your workspace. So we, as Ratatouille, we were just a single crate, right, in the beginning.
Right.
But now we are actually in the process of splitting up things and modularizing. We haven't released this, and the biggest, like the reason behind this is because if you are building a widget, a library using Ratatouille, you're depending on the whole thing.
Yep.
But when we make some breaking changes that are not even like related to what you're doing, you need to bump
The whole thing
as well.
Yeah.
So it's very annoying. So we were like, okay, let's have Ratatouille core, Ratatouille widgets, Ratatouille backends, like in the widget backends. But then the question is, how do you start versioning those crates? Do you like start from 0.1.0, or do you like go with the like the existing version, like the 0.29.0? Because
nothing below 1.0 matters.
Yeah.
If it's below 1.0, use at your own risk.
Yeah.
There's no like semantic information that I can communicate to you.
Yeah.
But I can also tell you 1.0 and 2.0 of Tauri, they're different machines. They're very different machines. And if you have a plugin for 1.0, I promise you it will not work with 2.0. So that means that the plugin has to have a version that reflects which Tauri it's useful for, right? And why did Tauri 2.0 change APIs? There's reasons for it. Doesn't really matter, but enough changed so that we have to communicate, hey, this plugin, I mean, for you it would be a widget. This widget only works after version
Yeah.
All right. So just promote to 1.0 right now. Everything before 1.0 doesn't matter. All the widgets are also 1.0, and just stick with that architecture. I think like the reason to stay below a 1.0 is because you're still not sure what the architecture should look like. Now you know. You've done it for a while, enough people have built with it to give you feedback, and you know, okay, a widget, backend, core, okay, it all fits together. So everything has to get promoted.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we will discuss that because we haven't released it yet, and we're still testing it out. We're gonna reach out to a couple of widget libraries and ask them to try out the new, like the alpha releases. And yeah, for managing the releases, we are using Release Please by Marco. Shout out to you, man. You're not here, but it's a really great tool. And yeah, we're now doing that. So I really feel the pain when it comes to, you know, versioning different crates and like how to manage things well. But yeah, there are actually a couple of questions about eGUI. People wonder, what do you think about eGUI?
We, for a long time, had a version of Tauri eGUI. I think it's great. It's not for everybody. It's not the same as WGPU. Like, my understanding of the technology is that basically you get a frame buffer and you flip it as soon as you got a new one. It's not retaining certain pieces of information, right? So some people who are like performance junkies might feel like eGUI isn't great, but I'm sorry, the project is amazing. And I've heard that it takes a little bit of finesse to get working again with Tauri 2.0. I wish we had people who would just be like, yeah, I can fix that for you. The problem had to do with the fact that eGUI was changing a lot when we integrated it into Tauri eGUI.
Yeah.
And like an integration into Tauri means you have to support Windows, Mac, and Linux at the very least. If you don't support those three, it's at most experimental, right? And we got stuck on some revisions that we had to do for Windows, and also just, like I said, a small team.
Yeah.
So
it's open source though, so
it is open source.
Anyone could just contribute.
And email, if you're watching, if you pick this up, like it's an amazing project.
Yeah, we have a eGUI backend experimentation for Ratatouille as well, so it works with quite a lot of projects, and it's good. That's immediate mode, write code faster, render stuff like a beast. eGUI. Ratatouille is also immediate mode rendering.
Right.
Do you have any opinions about immediate mode rendering versus retain mode?
All right. I'm gonna totally age myself here. My grandfather had an original Pong console attached with an RCA plug onto a TV.
That's a flex, yeah.
I had a CGA monitor that was amber. I remember why you needed a screensaver, and that was because the phosphors hit the glass and ultimately burned images into the glass. If you had a screensaver, it would move around and it would all kind of get hit instead of being hit in that one spot, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen like this march of technology go to the point now where you got foldable phones. And whoever asked me what I think about retained mode, please tell me what saves more energy, a black background or a white background on a screen? What saves more energy? It depends on the device, right? And I am not enough of a computer scientist, like by scientist I mean like deep tech engineer, to tell you what is the best for the device, because that's actually what I care about. I care about systems that we build that are good for the machines that we use so they don't break as fast. Because I've seen generations of technology come and go, right?
Yeah.
And like, what's better? I don't know what's better. I can tell you less traffic is better, better performance is better, but is immediate mode better than retained mode? I mean, how are you managing what's getting retained, right? Like, it seems to me that to do that, you're actually going to be doing more work. But I'm sure there's also clever ways to solve that.
Yep. That's reasonable. It's a complicated question.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question about Tauri. Would it be feasible to fork a browser engine to run the DOM and rendering engine from Rust bindings directly without JS, HTML, CSS? Before the live stream, he told me that don't ask me like nerdy questions.
Someone is sniping me right now. Hey, okay, how about this? I want you to make a car, but make the car without wheels and without a door and without an engine, and make it fast. Can you make it fast? Like, that's what the question is. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. Whoever's asking this, like, what do you mean just render the DOM? Have you ever worked in a browser before? Do you know what the DOM is? Like, you mean without CSS?
Yeah.
And without JavaScript. So like
Yeah.
a Node.js.
You take out everything.
So like, why not just use WebGL? At that point, like, that's the answer. Why bother even putting anything on the DOM? Right? Just put it into a canvas.
There's one question from Roland. How do you envision Tauri evolving in response to emerging trends like WebAssembly and AI-driven interfaces? What do you think about WebAssembly?
WebAssembly is a technology that is environment agnostic. I think that there's a couple obvious wins. One is in the browser, like in the user interface. Being able to run it there is interesting, but I'm sure there's somebody out there who built a Tauri plugin in Rust that allows you to hot load in Wasm and have it evaluated from a Rust context. I've heard people talk about it. I never saw it. And I'm not saying it exists. I'm just saying it wouldn't be hard to do if you were really motivated to do it. And I think at that point, you know, if you look at the WASI promise of Wasm that we once had, I think it's interesting. You know, that aside from, I don't know what the AI question is about, like AI, a lot of people who are building the very successful AI apps, you know what they're using? Tauri. Because you can ship an entire sidecar as an LLM. You ship your LLM as a sidecar, and okay, sure, your app is 800 megabytes, but you've got the entire model right there. And Tauri provides a really easy way to interface with it, right? And by easy, I mean you have to be an engineer. Like, you have to be smart, you have to know the framework in depth, you have to be at the pinnacle of your career. You cannot think, and this is a mistake I've seen happen, you cannot think, oh, Tauri is an open source project, I can train an LLM on Tauri, and then I can become a Tauri engineer, and my life is going to be great. It won't be. I know for a fact it won't be, because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You still have to be a great engineer to build an amazing app. You can be mediocre and build a mediocre app. That's fine. But it's always been that way, I guess.
There was one question about your book. I'm trying to find it. Hold on. I'm catching up with the questions slowly, guys.
Manufacturing European software.
I think someone was asking what does it contain and how do I get it, or where do I get it? Stuff like that.
So the link is crabnebula.lemonsqueezy.com. That's where you can download it, or you can find me on Discord and send me a message. I'm at the Tauri Discord. My nick is DENJELL. Just hit me up, send me a message.
You're on our Discord too, right?
I'm on this Discord as well.
I'm gonna send a link.
Yeah, and the book is an introduction to the European regulatory frameworks for companies that are now known as manufacturers of products with digital elements. Basically, like, to break it down, if you make software and you sell it and you put it on the European market for sale by companies or individuals, you're going to have to put a marking on the software that declares you are that you have conformity with the expectations of the regulator. The book talks about those expectations and also sort of introduces security to product people, and by product people I mean the people who make products. I know it sounds stupid, but make products for sale, right? Like ChatGPT, the browser, is a product. The Linear is a product. Google, Discord is a product, right? Mm-hmm. And so the book kind of serves as an introduction to project managers who maybe don't understand code. And as a matter of fact, I kept code examples and samples out of the book entirely. I keep the book up to date. Every 2 or 3 months, I bring out a new version. The last one I brought out for the DevWorld conference in Amsterdam. And the next one, maybe I bring it out at the latest in September for the conference I'm putting on in Malta.
Nice. You want to talk about your conference a bit? Maybe people are interested.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of Europe is that Europe cares deeply about people, right? The guys that I met who worked on writing these regulations, they said, like, Daniel, we're trying to protect the most vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. And by the most vulnerable, they mean our parents, our families, us as people, not corporations. And like the ones who get angry about all these regulations, well, those are the CEOs and CTOs of businesses who are like, oh my God, I have to do what now, right? And you know, the conference is trying to bring together from every European country at least one representative of the National Cybersecurity Coordination Center, the NCC, and ENISA, which is the European Cybersecurity Watchdog, and businesses, and open source, and consumer rights, and students. Like those are the 5 major stakeholders. Like bringing them together to a conference where there's an opportunity for the individual NCC members to have time together, because they do have to do a lot of negotiation, especially with the product liability directives requirements of being transposed into national law everywhere. But also, you know, businesses need to be able to express themselves to the regulators, and you know, that's the idea of the conference is we're going to bring all these people together. There's going to be 2 days of talks and workshops, and it's going to be in Malta, and it's called Comply.land. Tickets are going to go on sale in a couple weeks.
Great. We're going to share your links on Discord as well.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, supporting the grind. Let me see if there's any questions. I should really just visit you in Malta.
Yeah.
For the conference, maybe.
Absolutely.
That would be nice. And where do you plan? When do you plan this?
The 11th and 12th of September, 2025 is going to be the first one, and then in November of 26 is going to be the second one, because that's when a lot of the implementing legislation will have just been passed, so that we can also have kind of an update amongst ourselves. You know, like, okay, this is what happened. This is what we got to do now.
Yeah. Okay. When we will have a Rust browser?
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier with the servo. Work has been started again. I don't brag too much, but I know for a fact that the work we did at Tauri motivated other players to get back in the saddle and start working on servo again. So when are we going to have a Rust-based browser? Kind of, sort of do, But in like Rust style, you gotta also do it yourself.
You got any questions for me?
Now we've been doing this for like hour and a half, almost.
Yeah.
How's the sushi?
It's good.
Yeah.
Which one did you eat?
I had one of the ones with the fish eggs.
Yeah, it's good, right?
It is.
Just got it from the supermarket, if you're wondering. Have
It's
you been-
nice to live on the seaside, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fresh fish.
All right, guys, just let us know if you have any questions. I might have missed some, so I'm trying to find. But I guess, yeah, that's that. People say that you're killing it, so
Doing it.
I realized, like when we met, I think 2 years ago, right?
Packaging con.
Yeah, packaging
It's like
con.
in person met. Like I already knew who you were.
Yeah. You were not like back then. You're not so public, right? You're more like not posting much, or like I don't know. Maybe I was not seeing your stuff that much. But I feel like you're more public these days and making like I don't know, content or like announcements and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, like, what has changed, and what's your plan moving forward with like I don't know, like you're doing a conference now, so I'm not sure. Like,
If you don't do it yourself, no one's going to do it for you. Right. And I had a social media burnout 2011, like almost 14 years ago. And since then, I have really tried to avoid representing myself or my opinion on social media.
yeah.
I think when, at some point a couple years ago, when we started the company, I realized, shit, okay, we got to just talk about it more. Got to be out there. People have to know what you're doing. And I mean, with the news today, like, I promise you, if I hadn't started this company to bring Tauri to 2.0, Tencent wouldn't have used it. Microsoft wouldn't be using it. We wouldn't get messages from Berlin developers saying they're using Tauri in a Svelte app to do laser management in order to perform cancer research. Right? Like, it's this weird kind of feedback loop that I'm not taking credit for, but that we as a community got into, where doing the right thing for the right reasons and not giving up, your whole grind methodology is important because you get that feedback, right? You have to go looking for it. Does Microsoft go out there and brag that they're using Tauri? No, of course not. You just have to get your feelers out there, and every time we learn about another awesome use case of Tauri, we get excited again, right? And I think that, does it matter that Tauri has 90,000 stars? Yes and no, right? It's the third most starred project in Rust on GitHub for years, right behind, Dino and Rust. They're fighting for first place, and Tauri just keeps on adding and adding and adding, I think, and I actually caught myself saying this at the amazing Rust Asia conference we were at this week.
Yeah.
I caught myself saying that Electron started copying us. That like Tauri was It doesn't need to compare itself anymore. And I think that was also a moment where, for a long time, we'd been comparing ourselves to other things. Like, okay, Tauri is Tauri. In some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse. It's different, but we're not an electron killer. You know, we don't need to kill Electron. Electron's fine. It's doing its thing. Although, I can tell you, like with the approximately 20,000 Tauri projects out there, we've saved a couple thousand trees just by not shipping that dead code. Well, it's not dead, it's useful. But
yeah, I get your point. Yeah,
and so like the moment I think where it became real for me was when we announced Tauri 1.0. So Tauri 1.0, I went on stage at JS Nation in Amsterdam a couple years ago, 3 or something. And that week, Internet Explorer and Atom Shell both had deprecation notices, right? So like, they didn't get deprecated that week, but both of those projects received deprecation notices that we're no longer going to be working with Explorer. We're no longer going to be developing Atom Shell. And for me, in my professional career as a software engineer, those two things had always been there. And now they're disappearing. And like, this is something Lucas and I, we talk about a lot. You know, we say, hey, look, if we ever get to the point where we're sure that we're not bringing benefit to the community, to software in general, if we become outdated, well, it's time to retire, right? And we're not there yet. We're definitely not there yet. We've got stuff to do. We are going to finish it, you know, like the being done with development. We'll maintain it for a long time. I think the innovation will happen in plugins and in new operating systems like Harmony OS, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, when projects stop being maintained, it's not necessarily because they're bad. It's just because the world moves on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my answer to, is Tauri an electron killer? No.
Yeah.
But it will survive.
Yeah. I think that's a good approach. There's no like point in pushing something forward when there's nothing to push, you know?
Right.
But you apparently have a lot of things to do, so I look forward. And I really feel that because with Trust we are also like pushing things forward, and we're seeing new use cases, new projects coming out every day, and you don't like expect them most of the time. The latest one is a framework called Mousefood. It's for embedded.
Nice.
And like you can run Trust on there. And I think the question will be, is this like the end of Slint? So no. So yeah.
You know what? It's the exact same question.
Yeah.
Is Ratatouille the Slint killer? Of course not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I'm curious about like what was the like, you know, I see a lot of Ratatouille projects coming out, and was there did you have like a point where you saw something and you're like, wow, this is gonna change
Fig.io. I think the guys that built Fig.io, that team, like at first we met them. They came to the Tauri community, and at first they were doing everything native on Mac, but they were running into problems, and then they switched to Tau and Rai. And a year later, they sold their company or got acquired.
Maybe like talk about the project a bit.
So Fig.io is sort of like IntelliSense for the terminal. Basically, you get wherever your terminal is on the screen, you're typing something, and you can get like deep insight into that command, and it's extensible. So you can have like insights for any command. So you've got this mixture of screen reading, but also positioning and pixel perfect positioning and transparency and dragability, and they nailed it. They really made an amazing product. And I think today, I might be wrong, I believe it's now part of Code Whisperer at AWS. And so Tauri technology is now powering a product over at AWS. I mean, maybe. Who knows? I'm not inside that team anymore. But, no.
That's very cool. Yeah. There's one question from Denjell. Would you bundle WebKit, etc. for distributing Tauri apps for Linux though? I cannot rely on people installing the shared libraries and the right versions, etc. as of now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Like, I know exactly where you're going, and I think it does make sense. It explains also why some Linux packages are so big, because we're shipping it.
Yeah.
The problem I have is X or Wayland. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
And then GNOME or help. What's your favorite?
I don't use the desktop environment.
So, or you don't even use a desktop environment, right? And I mean, like the fracture of the Linux ecosystem means that basically you have to pick, like, are you shipping for Debian? Are you shipping for Arch? Are you shipping for Gentoo? Or what are you shipping for?
Yeah.
Don't call it Linux, because that's just the kernel, right? So, like, you have to be more specific about how your users are used to installing packages or products or apps.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I guess for Ubuntu, is it Snap?
Yeah,
Snapcraft?
you Snap. There's like a bunch of ones. There's app images.
App images, right? Oh god, there's so many different. And then there's so many different ways to do that, right? And so what do? Like, I mean, you probably should make a deb and an R, but like, Linux means a lot of work, and I really think you have to define specifically what you want to support.
Yeah. Bunch of stuff in there. I mean, packaging.
Yeah. As far as distributing web views goes, I think Microsoft actually did the best job of the three platforms. So they have this model called Evergreen. And the way that the Evergreen model works is that as soon as they have a patch, it just gets disseminated to all the devices.
Okay.
And that means when you're on Evergreen for an app, that means that you are you're using the shared library that Microsoft is providing you.
Okay.
Via Edge/WebView 2. And you can, however, ship a specific version with your app. Right? You just say, oh, you download this one, and that's the one that you give all your users. And then they have to, they run it from that linked version. Right?
So Daniel says, my point is that I don't want to pick. I know that I can expect electronic apps to work because of the full bundle easily, but Tauri, it is an issue to me as an app developer, so I stick with Electron.
Sure. Like I said, if you were listening earlier with Tauri 3.0, you'll be able to pick if you ship Ceph, so Chromium Embedded Framework, or the Rust version of Servo/Verso. So you can then pick, and you'll be able to ship it yourself.
Okay. Does that mean that I can just like create my own thing and use it?
You always could. Like the way that we built the WebView rendering library is extensible. You have your WebView, you can attach to it. Always could. No one bothered to, right?
Yeah, I see.
Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right?
Got it. I have a project that I need to upgrade to V2 actually. Just today I get a bug report on Arch that says, you know, you gotta bump your dependencies because it doesn't build on Rust 1.85 or something.
What?
So I'm very behind on that.
Shoot, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
MSRV, baby.
Yeah, I gotta hop back on that Tauri grind, man. But how do you like keep stuff up to date with Rust versions or editions, on that matter?
Oof, we try to ship the lowest possible version we can. I would be lying if I told you I knew what it was off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely not nightly, and it's definitely not latest. It's definitely not 2024. You don't need 2024 to build Tauri. That said, Tauri depends on a couple hundred other upstreams.
Yeah.
And if one of them is like jumping on the 2024 bandwagon, yeah. And I mean, we've been in similar situations in the past where we ended up taking on the maintenance of a library.
Yeah.
For the reason of the maintainer just didn't care anymore, right?
Which one was it?
Not gonna say. No, it was actually quite a few of the servo libraries.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Looking forward to E3 then. I missed what CEF would meant, not used to the acronym.
Chromium Embedded Framework is what CEF means.
Yeah, I should try it at some point.
I mean, technically, today, you could go to tauri-apps/CEF-RS. We already built the underlying library that we're going to leverage that binds to Ceph for Tauri, and we're working on the actual integration into Rye right now. But,
Yeah.
you know, like if you're a smart engineer, definitely go check it out. Give us feedback on Ceph RS. Build it for Linux. Run it. Do something with it. Like, I mean, build a competitor, right? You know, like become Dioxys. You know, like use the tech that we're giving to the community and make it better and contribute back upstream. Like that's the dream of open source, right?
Right. Speaking of Dioxys, what's your how do you see they're moving forward with all the hot reloading?
It's awesome.
Things.
It's inspirational, and I think I wish it wouldn't be a just Dioxys thing.
Yeah.
I wish that would get pushed up to kernel level. That would be hot. That would be hot.
Yeah.
I think that there are situations now today where having a React-like interface in a Rust context makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, just from the perspective of types, right? Like one of the biggest problems that people have with Tauri is you've got your Rust types and then you've got your TypeScript types. And how do you like make sure that you've got the same types, right? There's even an entire library called Specta that was built for that. And so this notion of a Rust engineer writing UI code, I think it makes sense. I don't know if it's got the uptake yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I find it inspirational what they're working on, and I mean, I don't know if they're still using Tauri under the hood, but I know they were for a while, right?
Yeah.
So, in a sense, it's like a cousin project,
Yeah.
right? And I know they got some funding, and I'm looking forward to more Rust, right? Like the more Rust, the more opportunities people have to use it and get familiar with it and learn about its benefits, the better.
Yeah. Nice. I also look forward to what they're building because they have Ratatouille hot reloading thing, which I haven't checked out, but it's very cool. So a lot of people ask me about that because they get into TUIs and they're like, okay, I have this thing running now, but how do I like see the UI change when I write some code? Like, I'm like, okay, you can use Cargo Watch. It's unmaintained, you know.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
but like it doesn't work when you use it. You gotta like pass in some arguments so they don't know about that. So they're like, okay, Cargo Watch is broken. It's not working. I'm like, yeah, I mean, with Rust, this is not like, yeah, you know. So I really look forward to what they're building, and at some point I'll reach out to them and maybe just talk about what they're doing and yeah, get more inside info. That would be cool.
That would totally. I would watch that stream.
Yeah, maybe we can just get them on stream and just talk about it, right? The Oxus are. If you guys watching, just yeah, reach out, or I'm gonna hit you up. They're not watching, but yeah, maybe they are. You never know. 12 people lurking.
12 lurkers. What's up, lurkies? Have some sushi.
Yeah. Hot take: full stack devs should know both Rust and JavaScript and TypeScript. A dream couple.
Hot take.
Yeah, it's a hot take.
That was a hot take in 2019, yo. And we believed in it enough to do it.
Isn't Deoxys exactly what I was proposing, with the difference of going through Wasm and then JS bindings?
Nope.
We should make Ratatouille happen.
Ratatouille, yeah, we talked about it. We totally should.
Yeah, that would be cool. Have you seen the other experiments with eGUI and like this web framework that I'm building, Ratzilla and stuff like that?
I have seen a few. One place where I think Ratatouille would make a lot of sense is we have taskbar apps, right?
What do you mean?
So a taskbar app is like in the taskbar you've got a little icon.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're a Linux guy, but like on Apple, Mac, you can click the icon and you get a little bit of context, things you can do with that app.
Yeah.
Maybe open up a new window, or maybe it's like a heads-up display about the temperature of your CPU. And those kind of apps don't need any JavaScript at all.
Yeah, just the window.
But there are situations where you might like to have more context, more information.
Yeah.
And so spawning a new terminal with a Ratatouille interface would mean that someone could do that entirely without needing to write JavaScript, because JavaScript's ugly.
Yeah. There's actually one project, I haven't looked into it like in depth, but I think it's a terminal emulator with Tauri or the Oxus, and like it's like using Ratatouille somewhere, I don't know. But yeah, I see what you mean. I think that would be pretty cool, because if you're not like a full-on TTY person, you want to like click things and launch programs, right? So
also has the benefit that maybe you can't forward the actual screen, but you could forward the TTY.
Yeah.
So you could get remote without having to do a full RDP.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta experiment with this, I think, so it's good.
Nice.
Can I get the window events from Tauri somehow and just map it?
The window events? What do you mean?
Like, I don't know, click, resize,
Sure.
mouse, pointer, okay, yeah. Then
that's all available Rust side.
Yeah. Do you have like a trait for handling those things, or how do I like implement a custom backend in Tauri, or like a front end? How does it work?
Okay, so like the architecture of Tauri is you have a binary. Binary is like started. That it instantiates via tau the menuing and the keyboard accelerators.
Yeah.
And that allows a RAI to, and the window, excuse me, and it creates the window, tau. And then RAI injects context into tau. And tau is basically a fork of Winit. We forked Winit a long time ago because the maintainers disagreed with our perspective that that context also needed to wrap menus and accelerators. At the time, they said no, but it doesn't matter. Theoretically, we're considering going back to Winit at some point. Again, it's just a matter of time. Anyway, so tau is where you would attach the web view, and you would then, like, at that point, you're fully functional. You don't need Tauri. What Tauri does is it provides a system by which the core of the app communicates with the user interface. Like, you know, for example, if you've got a single page application in a website, you're going to maybe send a request to the server for a new route, and the server is going to respond with the new information. Maybe that's SSR, whatever. We don't provide a local host server. We serve from sort of like a virtual file system inside of the binary, and routing is done over a custom protocol so that your app feels exactly like React does.
Yeah.
Right? So that's all stuff you might not need if you're just making a TUI app. So in this context, maybe the fastest way to get results is to bind in at the Winit level, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that Tauri did for a long time that was kind of unique was the bundler and updater. That was tightly coupled to Tauri. There is still a tightly coupled version, but at Crab Nebula, we extrapolated that and made an agnostic version of the packaging system. So you can get a packager and an updater for any language, like for Slint, for Electron, for Tauri. I think even Dioxys, right?
Yeah.
And so you could use that packager to package up the app then when you're done. And yeah.
So I can hook Ratatouille where Winit is at, and just use the same architecture.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense.
And if you do that, once you have that working, then you can decide, do I want the nice things that Tauri brings? You know, the features, the plugin system, right? Like, do you want to be able to have the user interact with the file system?
Yeah.
Because if you don't take what Tauri brings, you're going to have to roll your own.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. We're gonna go for 10 more minutes. So should we wrap this up at 2 hours, or do you have time? What do you
Let's wrap it at 2. I'm kind of tired, man.
Yeah. Okay.
It's late here in Hong Kong. Almost 11?
Yeah, almost 11. And you gotta go for your hotel, which
Yeah, I also have to go across town.
Yeah. How many islands are you gonna just pass to go to your hotel?
It's technically on the same island, but it's like through the mountain. Other side of the
Are you
mountain.
taking the one, what is it called, the rope thing? The one that we took to go to the hotel? Are you? You're not taking that one?
I'm not taking that. Definitely not at night. So,
what is it called again?
Gondola? Is it a gondola?
Yeah, exactly.
I think so. Yeah.
So we went to the big Buddha thing.
Yeah.
It's like a huge Buddha.
Like huge, like
yeah, like really big.
20 meters tall.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it felt gigantic.
Yeah, that thing, and it was just like on top of a mountain. because like they're like, okay, let's put this thing here. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was like the gondola. Is it gondola? No.
It was something else, but I don't remember the
This
word.
carriage. Like we took these like closed carriages on. Wow, it must be time to stop because my brain has stopped working. Anyway, we took these things, like not ski
Crystal.
lifts. What are they called?
Crystal thing.
So, chat, help us. Anyway,
Chat, what is it called? Like 17 people watching, nobody knows. The rope, like the thing just goes on
and
a
then
rope.
there's a cabin hanging underneath it.
Yeah.
And so, like, we were riding that thing up, and it was so cool to like go through the cloud, and that was the best. Just to like go through that cloud and
Lift, telepheric,
Yeah.
funicular. It was something else. You booked it. You must know.
dun 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 dun.
Rope, not rope.
No. Like it's like a ski lift, but with a
gondola. But no, it was not called gondola. Cable lift.
Cable car.
Cable
car.
Cable car. Okay.
I think a cable car. Yeah, thank you, Chad.
Yeah. Cable car. Where on earth are you lads now? We're in Hong Kong.
Yeah, Hong Kong it is. Yeah, we were. Why were we here? Because we were speaking and doing workshops here in Hong Kong around Rust Asia.
Yes, Rust Asia.
Rust Asia. Totally worth it.
I will ask you a question that might get us kicked out from this country. Is Hong Kong a part of China or not?
I am not qualified to give an answer to that question. First of all, I am not Asian. Second of all, I've only been in Hong Kong for a few days. Third of all, I have friends who are from Hong Kong. I have friends who are from Taiwan. I have friends who are from China. I have friends from Japan and Malaysia and Russia and Iran.
Turkey.
And Kenya and the United States of America and Canada and Mexico. I mean, do I believe that national borders should be dissolved and we should have one nation of people just being able to live freely? Yeah, I think that would be great. Is it going to happen? Not until the aliens arrive and start declaring war on humanity. And then everybody's going to be friends.
Have you ever looked into micronations?
I have.
Do you have a micronation?
Do I have a micronation?
Like, have you considered at least, or like
I think
fantasized about a micronation?
the closest I ever had to living in a micronation was in Hamburg in the Gängeviertel, which is a community of artists and architects and civil activists living together in 12 buildings, taking care of the place, living in a sort of alternative lifestyle, reality, whatever. Is it a micronation? Well, labor was exchanged. It wasn't always about money. It was more about empowering people to have access to culture. But the police still came and sometimes arrested people, and it's not like we had different laws. It was still in Europe, in Germany.
And which year was this again?
The Gängeviertel was started in 2009.
Okay.
And it's still around. It's become a little gentrified, but it's still there.
Yeah, nice. So this idea of micronation was brought up by someone in the Discord. So in case you don't know, we have a Discord called Grindhouse, and this guy was like, "You gotta start a grind nation," and I'm like, "Yeah." We don't have it yet, and I'm still like trying to pick a place on Earth to locate headquarters. So, yeah, maybe that's why I'm here in Hong Kong. You never know. Maybe I'm just exploring. So yeah.
I mean, I like Hong Kong. I hear the weather gets kind of weird here. It gets really, really humid. And
Yeah. Well, I didn't like the fact that your body needs to go from like very hot weather into a like a cold environment very frequently because of the use of ACs.
right.
And I was actually quite worried that I would get sick in the first like 2 days, because you go out, it's very hot, and then you go like take a train, it's
Right.
cold.
Yeah.
You like, then you go out again, and then you go into a building, it's hot, like it's cold again. I mean, what do I wear in that case? I saw people wearing shorts, t-shirts and stuff like that, but in that case, you get like, you're sweating outside, and then you, like, it's cold, and like, what?
Yeah, I mean,
It's very confusing.
maybe you should just treat it like a sauna, right? You get hot, and then you get cold, and then you go jump in the lake.
Yeah, I don't know.
So walk around naked, like it's a sauna. I'm sure that'll work.
This morning I was using the pool, and
Okay.
it was just raining. I'm like, like, it's right there, like it's outside. I'm like, okay, it's very weird. And then I use the sauna, and it's hot. Maybe I'm getting used to it. I'm not sick yet, and I don't think I will get sick, but it was quite worrying. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but as far as where I think the perfect micronation would be, I mean, you want to have enough resources to survive. So that means water and at least fruit and maybe some like animal protein like fish. So seaside could be good unless there's like typhoons. That sucks. Unless it's too cold, because the water freezes. I don't know. I mean, I think every place you could choose is going to have positives and negatives.
Yeah. I need a micronation that is like not fixed to a location, I guess. Which is then not.
It's called a boat.
Yeah. How about we do it in, I don't know, some mythological place like Atlantis or something?
Okay, so it's like a fictional,
Yeah, fictional.
or maybe not fictional. Maybe that's the wrong word. If anyone's out there who's a true believer in Atlantis, I'm sorry. Did not mean to offend. But, you know, maybe invisible.
Yeah.
Or multi-dimensional. Higher dimensional. I mean, if your micronation exists in the sixth dimension, who's going to stop you?
Yeah. This is getting deep. So yeah.
And obviously the flag has to be a hypercube, right?
I wonder if I can just use a black flag, like it's completely black.
Problem with black flag is I think it was a band.
It's banned.
A band.
Banned?
Yeah, they made music. You should check them out. You'd like them. Black Flag.
Okay, I'll check them out. Before we go, do we want to like show them the view of the buildings by just turning off the lights?
Do it.
Guys, this is the view that you get while sleeping. Well, it's not very visible. I think it looks cool. What do you guys think? Chat. Did you have any bad dreams while you were here?
Nope.
Any good dreams?
Actually, I didn't dream so much. Because I was like, I slept because my body needed to, but then I also knew when I get up, I have stuff to do. So like, I find that I can remember dreams if I stay in bed longer. And that might also be why when I have a nightmare, I get up really quick to try and forget it. So
sleep is just, sleep is just for sleep for you?
No, it's for my fifth dimensional micronation.
You just go and manage your micronation while you're there?
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, okay. All right, I guess this is how we are ending the stream, guys. Do you want to say something else to people? Any messages?
No, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for asking great questions and grinding. And
yeah, keep grinding, guys.
Keep grinding. Yeah.
Keep grinding. Use Tauri.
Yeah.
It's a good message. Use Tauri when it's out. All right. We didn't talk. We talked about people, so I don't know.
Did we?
I guess a bit.
I think Mark Shuttleworth.
What?
Shuttleworth?
Who's that?
It's the guy from Ubuntu.
Yeah. Guys, good night.
Ciao. Yeah, so what did Elon Musk bring into the Rust ecosystem of Twitter? Async.